Let's be honest. Your 20s are one big experiment. You're figuring out your job, your friends, your habits, and yeah, your money. After 25 years in finance, including handling a billionaire's money, I've seen the same mistakes again and again. So today, I'm breaking down the 5 worst mistakes you can make in your 20s. And the best part, I'm going to show you how simple it is to avoid them. So let's start with some good news. Your 20s are the best time in your life to screw up. Seriously. You can mess up jobs, relationships, your haircut, and you'll bounce back. But there's one kind of mistake that sticks around longer. Money mistakes. And we're starting with spending more than you make. You want to know the fastest way to stay broke your entire life? It's living like you make $100,000 when you make $75,000. You don't have an income problem. You have a spending problem. According to a 2024 Bankrate survey, 28% of Gen Z and 34% of millennials live paycheck to paycheck, even though they're earning more than previous generations. Behavioral economists call this present bias. We value today's wants more than tomorrow's needs. It's easy when you're young. Maybe it started in college with student loan debt, and then you moved on to credit card debt and pay in 4 schemes. You name it, there's always an easy way to spend money you don't have. Every raise and every bonus becomes a nicer car or an expensive vacation that you couldn't afford before. So what do? Keep your expenses low. Notice I didn't say never spend money. I'm saying you don't throw it down the drain. Your 3 biggest expenses, housing, transportation, and food, are where most people in their 20s mess up. You rent a fancy apartment because it has granite countertops and a rooftop pool. You lease a new car because you think it makes you look successful. You DoorDash Chipotle 3 times a week because it's only $15 each time. And add that all up and you're broke. Want to know how I saved my first big chunk of money? I lived at home until I was 27. My mom was smart, and she said if I was going to keep living at home, I was going to pay for the privilege. Now, she only charged me a nominal rate to cover my food and other stuff. Plus, I helped around the house with yard work and chores. Now, I'm not saying it was glamorous. It wasn't, but it saved me thousands every single year. When I finally moved out, I had some money saved for retirement that I might not have today if I'd been living on my own. And that's a decision that changed my entire financial future. My car was a rusting out 1978 Subaru stick shift with over 100,000 miles on it. But it got me where I needed to go for a few years until I could buy another used car. And here's the kicker. You don't have to live at home. You just have to live below your means. Roommates are cheaper than living solo. A used car beats a shiny new lease. Cooking at home instead of eating out saves more than you think. Simple stuff, but it adds up. Here's what you're missing and why it matters. Compound growth. If you drop your monthly spending by $500 and invest it at 7% each month starting at age 22, by the time you're 60, you'll likely be sitting on over $1 million. If you wait until you're 32, you'll have to put in almost $1,100 a month just to catch up. The point is, the earlier you start, the more time your money has to work for you. Now, saving money is useless if your habits don't match. So mistake number 2 is building bad habits. Bad money habits are sneaky. They're disguised as normal life. You tell yourself, I'll start budgeting later, or I'll save when I make more. But those temporary habits, they turn you into who you are, and in a minute, I'll show you 2 ways your habits can cost you. Look, money isn't about just math. It's mostly behavior. A Duke University study found 40% of our daily actions are habits and not conscious decisions. And your 20s are when you lock in those behaviors that become the habits for the rest of your life. You don't suddenly wake up in your 30s disciplined and organized. You wake up the same person who kept saying, I'll start next month. You control your habits or they'll control you. It's true. Whether it's finances, health, or your career, your daily routines determine where you'll end up. Here's an example. Meal prepping. Doesn't sound exciting, I know. But planning your food saves you money and it can keep you healthy. I've seen people spend $300 a month at grocery stores versus $1,200 a month for eating out. Each year, That's a $10,000 difference. Over 10 years, that's $100,000, all from cooking at home. And that's just food. What about social media habits? Let's talk about that. If you spend hours doom scrolling TikTok, you're not learning skills or building relationships or improving yourself. Replace even a fraction of that with reading, podcasts, and exercise, and you'll thank yourself later. And here's the good news. You don't have to be perfect. Everyone slips, but starting now gives you a head start. The habits you build today can help you rewire your brain to become healthy and wealthy. And just when you think you've got your spending under control, this next mistake hits. And it's the one that traps almost everyone in their 20s. Trying to look rich. Your 20s are dangerous because you care too much about what other people think. That's how you end up buying stuff you can't afford. It's called social comparison theory. The more you compare, the less satisfied you feel. You buy the designer clothes, the car with high payments, the latest iPhone, the Instagram-worthy vacations, and yeah, people notice. But here's the truth. No one really cares as much as you think they do. Trust me, I've been there. At 22, I thought having a shiny watch made me important. At 32, I couldn't believe how dumb that was. As Morgan Housel said, spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less of it. There's a reason rich people look boring. It'll flip how you think about wealth once you see it. They're not flexing on Instagram. They're buying things that are timeless and affordable. They're buying things that are durable and long-lasting. They're driving boring cars, wearing regular clothes, and quietly stacking assets. Looking rich costs money. Being rich makes money. And once you get that, your priorities will shift overnight. If you avoid lifestyle inflation now, you'll thank yourself later. You don't need to keep up with your friends. Half of them are broke anyway. They just hide it well. And speaking of your friends, you won't get far unless you can avoid the next mistake, surrounding yourself with the wrong people. Here's something they don't teach you in school. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. There's one subtle behavior these people have that can drag you down fast. We'll hit that in a second. Neuroscience backs this up. Mirror neurons in your brain cause you to subconsciously copy behaviors of people around you. It's one reason you copy your friends' spending habits without even realizing it. So here's the subtle behavior. They normalize mediocrity. If your friends are lazy, negative, and constantly broke, you'll end up the same way. If they're motivated, supportive, and growth-minded, they'll pull you up. It doesn't mean that you have to cut ties with everyone who isn't perfect, but be mindful of your circle. Ask yourself, do my friends push me to grow, or do they hold me back? And remember, people doesn't just mean your buddies at the bar. It's also podcasts, books, and mentors. Those count too. If you don't have positive and motivated people around you, go find them. And now for the twist. The one mistake that sounds responsible, but quietly holds you back just as much as debt. And that's missing the fun. You know, being too disciplined can wreck you too. If you bury money in the backyard and you're too scared to spend anything, you're going to burn out or give up or worse. This is what psychologists call all or nothing thinking. You decide you'll either save everything perfectly or you'll just give up and spend it all. That's why going hard on a budget often turns into binge spending on a vacation. Here's the mindset shift. Save hard, but spend intentionally. Reward your discipline without guilt. The goal here is balance. So have fun. Yes, be smart with your money. Yes, avoid debt, but don't be so uptight that you forget to live your life. Surveys show money is one of the top stressors for younger adults. For Gen Z and millennials, financial worries are rising faster than for older generations. Listen, one of the benefits of being young is this. If you're going to make mistakes, and we all do, it's better to make them when you're young. And there are 2 benefits to screwing up when you're young. 1, you get to learn from your mistakes. And 2, you have plenty of time to fix things and recover from them. When you're in your 20s and you screw up, people shrug it off. But do the same thing when you're in your 30s or 40s, and people are going to say, you should know better. You know you're only in your 20s once. So make memories, take the trip, go out, try dumb hobbies. Just don't pay for it with credit cards that you can't pay off. Because here's the truth. You can recover from money mistakes, but you can't get back wasted years. Now, can you see how all these mistakes are kind of connected? They're all the same trap, just in different disguises. But when you fix one, the others start falling into line. But don't stop here. There's one major money decision that if you get it wrong, it'll quietly ruin your future for the next 10 years. I only touched on it here, but it deserves its own video. Click here to watch it now.